Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be looking at Aquaman Wave and characters related to Aquaman. And I've proposed out Black Manta. Now Black Manta is from I think the Page Punchers Wave, which Todd McFarlane released, and that figure actually came with a comic. And the only other Page Puncher figure I've got is John Constantine. So we're coming close on him, because this is the figure I decided to go for instead of a movie version of Black Manta. And I love this figure. I think it's a fan favourite over the movie one. I think it looks dynamically better for me. And what I've got him doing is sitting on the throne of one of my other figures, which is the Lex Luthor Darkseid figure. I've never filmed the Lex Luthor Darkseid figure on this throne, but probably one day I will. But what I like about this figure is its simplicity, and I love the kind of the way it kind of comes across in a kind of balanced way, where the figure looks proportionate, and I like the paint application. But this figure actually came with those blades there that you can see, and those are normally attached to the gauntlet, but I decided I'd pose him this way because I think it came across better on camera. So this section of the review would just be other figures posing on the throne, just to show you what that looks like, and then we'll get him and some of the other characters into combat mode. So let me just come around, get some angle shots. And I had him posed out when I first got this figure with my my animation Aquaman, and you'll see him in a minute. And I quite like that. And I had him in combat poses with my recently acquired Arthur Curry, played by Jason Momoa, Aquaman. But this figure, they were retailing it at £28, and I think that's what I paid for it, but I don't mind. Sometimes it's worth paying the price, and in this case this figure is worth it. So let's put another figure on the throne and see what that looks like. So this was the first Aquaman I got, because when I was trying to pick up the Justice League Aquaman, even though he got a lot of criticism for the head sculpt, I still wanted him. I still liked the look of him. But when this one came along, and this one I did know was a bargain, I ignored him for a long time, but it was about £12.99, and normally it would be about £24.99. But I love this one. I saw him reviewed with other collectors, and a lot of the collectors do like him. But at the time I convinced myself he did look a bit like Jason Momoa, but obviously since I've acquired a Jason Momoa, he looks absolutely nothing like that, which is what I did when I got my Hush Superman. I only got him because there wasn't a Christopher Reeve one available, and I thought to myself, at the end of the day, he looked like Christopher Reeve, but Hush Superman looks nothing like Christopher Reeve. Now you've just heard some sirens out the window. Seems to be a busy night in my hometown, but we'll crack on with this review, and we'll get some more angle shots. And what I like, a lot of fans seem to don't like the eyes looking to one side pose in the sculpt of the face, but I do. I like it. I think it gives it personality. So that's the angle, close up. And I've seen versions of this one, but this is my favourite one. So let's get the other Aquaman, or Aquaman, on the throne to see what that looks like. Let's pull it back. That's a nice shot there. So let's get the next one on. So, right, now let me tell you a little bit about this figure, and you'll see my next Aquaman after him, which is both Jason Momoa Aquaman, Arthur Curry. And I don't normally go into this toy outlet, where I got this figure from. Coming close. But when he first came out, I didn't manage to get one. I don't even think there was one in my toy outlet. But yeah, when he first came out, I didn't pick him up. But when I went into another toy outlet, which is something I sometimes do, even though they do what you call kiddie toys, sometimes they stock figures like this. So because this was a one-off, I don't think they even know how to price it. This was £10, and the figure after this you're going to see is going to be also £10. But this is the stealth suit which you see him wearing in Aquaman 2. And if anything, you'll see some combat poses with him fighting my black manta. But I also posed the trident out in a different way just to make it interesting. He's holding it with two hands. So far you've seen the one Aquaman before that who was just holding it with the one hand. But I like this figure. Let's get another angle shot. I tried to get my Black Series Boba Fett in this seat, but it was too awkward. But I might have another go at it and put it on film. So that's Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, Aquaman. So I'll bring out the other version of him and see what that looks like. Pull it back a bit. I like that dynamic. So at long last, here is the Aquaman I was chasing for the longest time. And when they released Justice League Aquaman and I didn't get him, I would have got him, as I said before, even though the head sculpt wasn't as good as what you're seeing now. When I got this at £10, I was well pleased. So coming in close, and you can see that's not a bad likeness of Jason Momoa. I think they did a good job. I think Todd McFarlane listened to the fans and he did his best to give us something that was close to the actual guy. And I like that. And he's holding his trident with one hand, whereas the stealth suit one was holding the trident with two hands. I've also done a little bit of a dynamic, which I did with the stealth suit one. I had him resting that foot on the shell. Now, because Aquaman is associated with the sea, that's why you got shells on this platform. So let's get some close-ups before we start posing these guys out. And I love all my Aquamen, and this particular pose is how he is displayed in my cabinet. And the stealth suit Aquaman is being posed upstairs at the top of my landing, and my animation one is being posed in a shelving unit which is in my bedroom. So I think that covers all the throne poses. So let's try a few combat poses. Stay tuned. So we've got stealth suit Aquaman up against Manta. This is not the movie version of Manta, but at least it's kind of in the ballpark. I'll come in at an angle and get a close-up. I'll move it around to Aquaman. That's not too bad. But I'm going to change the dynamic of the trident on Aquaman just to see what that looks like. Okay, let's keep going. So I've just changed the dynamics a little bit. Put Aquaman on the other side. Let's get a close-up. Very standard pose for me, but I'm going to take the trident away from Manta, and that will help me to free up some of his arms for the next one. It will be the only one with these two, and then we'll bring in some new guys. Let's go in close. Okay, let's take that trident off Manta and leave it with one more with these guys. Okay, this is the last one with these guys. I've tried to do what you call a contact pose, coming in close. Aquaman has blocked that blade. Let's move it along to that position. And we'll come over on the other side and see Aquaman coming close. Probably tweak this. I'll probably tweak this because I can get it slightly better than this. So let me just tweak it and then we'll get these guys out of the scenario. So yeah, I slightly tweaked it. Seems to look a bit better on camera. It's coming close on Aquaman. Tilted his head slightly to get some kind of movement there in the actual action sequence that I'm trying to create on camera. Black Manta's one of those figures, he's got a very strong image, so you don't have to do much for him to look good. But before I go on to the next guys, I'm going to come around the back of Black Manta, and that's what I tend to do. I store that trident on the back of the figure by looping it into, let's see if we can get it into one of the sort of hoses that supplies his air. So we'll come round to the front. That's not too bad. And bring it to there. And then we're bringing some new guys. So here are the new kids on the block. Now we do know that Orm, also known as Ocean Master, did have a battle with Aquaman. And this is kind of the actual suit he had, but this is actually the suit that he wore in Aquaman 2. That pose could be better, but he was a bit fiddly today, so I'm having a fiddly one. So that's Aquaman and Ocean Master battling. So what I might do is hold their pose, but slightly change the position on the platform. Similar to the way I did it when I had Daredevil and Punisher fighting. So let's see what that looks like. So yeah, that looks a bit better. It comes across a lot better. I'll come in close over the shoulder of Aquaman. I'll come around the other side. Get that angle, but without moving too much from my fixed position. I'm going to change their angle again and see that pose. So I've got Aquaman with his back completely to the camera. Pull that back. I quite like that dynamic. Now Aquaman is being the fiddly one today, so I've taken him off the foot stand, but he could fall over, so I apologise for that. But let's get close up on that detail and that hair. I do love all that. It's been well made, this figure, and for £10 you can't moan. So let's get Ocean Master. There's a nice pose there. Let's see if we can get around the other side. That's not too bad, but it's overall not what I want, but I had to try it. So let's finish off with one more dynamic with these two and move on to the next. So this is pretty much the final one with these guys, the contact pose as I will call it. And there's your contact right there. The trident has blocked the trident of Ocean Master. But I remember a great line in Aquaman, the first film, where they faced up to each other to see who would rule. And Ocean Master said, "This was my father's trident and it has never known defeat." So let's move around, get a dynamic there. Coming close. He's great to pose, but today for some reason he's been a bit fiddly. That can range from balance issues to gripping issues to standing issues, but overall he's been a bit fiddly, and trust him to be doing that while I'm trying to film in. I'm going to tweak the head of Ocean Master and possibly Aquaman just to finish it off. So this is the final one. I've actually lifted up their bodies to more towards the skies. Got the tridents meeting in the center of camera as though they've clashed. I've got some energy effects. I wouldn't have minded putting some like energy effects on the tridents to look like they've sparked off each other. But let's go first to him. And I do love this figure. And I got him cheap as well. Can't remember how much, but in the films, I actually always liked him, and I was glad to see that at least in Aquaman 2, they reconciled to get things done against Black Manta and King Kordax, which you're going to see in the next few minutes. Let's get a close up. And there you go. I do like that. I'm doing that camera thing again. I'm starting to pick up that habit. I'll have to drop it. Let's come around the other side. Quite like that. So let's move it on from these guys and bring out the next geezer. So we're doing quite well actually. I'm moving quite quickly on this review. Now this is pretty much the end of the review anyway, so I'm going to do a few poses with these guys, but we're going to come in close on Aquaman, Arthur Curry working with his brother Orm, Ocean Master, who are going up against King Kordax. And I love this figure. I will be showing him in some poses if I can fit them in, because I don't want to waste too much time or shooting for too long. But these two figures, Aquaman and King Kordax, along with my stealth Aquaman, I saw them in this toy outlet, and as I say, they were £10 each, and you can't complain at that. But he looks wicked. And what I liked about him, even though he wasn't in the Aquaman 2 film that long, I think he actually had footage time of about 10 minutes. He was good, but I love this figure because they've really done a lot to create the likeness of what he did look like in the film. But me, I'm into my sculpted cloaks, and that cloak won me over, so I had to buy him, because I was originally just going to get stealth suit Aquaman and Aquaman that you can see on the platform now, but when I saw him for a 10 and I saw him looking like this, I just thought, he's coming home with me. So that's something that I was really pleased about, because since I've had him, I've posed him so many times, not on camera, but when I do pose him, he looks good. I'm going to try and get one of those poses, because I think in terms of time, I don't want to go beyond 20 minutes, and we're on 18 now. So let's see if we can get a good one to end with. So, not too sure about this one, but I had to get something in where you see all the figures in combat mode. So we've got Aquaman there, whose trident has been blocked by King Kordax, which I do like that dynamic. And then you've got the hand of King Kordax blocking the trident of Ocean Master. Not bad. I'm going to do a few slight changes on the head position, but they're going to be basically in this pose just to see what it looks like on camera, just for my own curiosity. So let's go for it. So I've turned King Kordax head in the other opposite direction. I've tilted down Ocean Master's head, and I've brought Aquaman round a little bit more to the side of the King Kordax. But I'm going to try a few more tweaks just to see what that looks like, because the trident of King Kordax is kind of obscuring the face of Aquaman, so it doesn't look right for me. So you know guys, what I actually did, this was a pose I actually achieved in the cabinet section of my living room. So I'm going to end it like this, because as you can see all the faces of the figures. There's some movement and dynamics there, and I had this for probably about 6 months. They won't go back in my display this way because I've got the throne now, and I'm going to sit one of my Aquaman on the throne. So it's the last one, let's show you some angle shots and leave it there. So we'll come to Kordax, bring it around, moving around slowly, and coming close. I love the figure. It's been well done, and I watched the movie not long ago and I really do like it more and more. I know it got criticisms because it was Zack Snyder who was going to connect all these films up after he did Justice League, but they went in another direction. I'm not blaming Zack Snyder. I'm just saying politics within the industry dictated that the Aquaman kind of character came to an end. But I do like the film more and more every time I see it. And let's come to that dynamic there, that angle shot, and that's not bad. Let's come around to Aquaman, and yeah, so that's what's happening. But I do know, obviously you guys probably know, he's going to be playing Lobo. I don't know much about Lobo, but I've got the figure, and I'm not sure if I've got him on the channel even. I'll have to go through the channel to see if I actually filmed him. But let's get ahead and let's get a picture of that or shot of that detail. Really good for this standard or level of figure, I think. Let's come back to that angle. I like that angle. So yeah, so that was the Aquaman wave. And you saw the figures I've got in that wave. There's a couple of more out there, but it all depends on the space issue. But at the end of the day, I just want to get around the side a bit more, like that shot. Coming close. Alright then, that's enough. So yeah, at the end of the day, I was trying to show you poses that you might want to put in your own displays or not. For me, it's a bit of fun. And say thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you again next time. Another one under the belt.